Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning! Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Well, a happy momentous day in Philadelphia. Happy draft day as the NFL Draft 2024 kicks off, and a happy Game 3. All right, this is going to be the resurrection game. This is where the Sixers come off the mat thanks to a crowd that is loud, that is frenzied, that is all Philadelphian. That's what's at stake tonight. The Anthony Gargano Show, brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference at TrueMark Financial today. Well, we opened the show a little differently today because you might see these guys here, and it is take your children to work day. Take your kids to work day. So this is my oldest, Anthony.
All right.
This is my youngest, Massimo. 14 years old, 11 years old. They're playing hooky from school today. Of course, you know John Zapata, JP, and Violations Greg Caputo, VG.
What's up?
So we decided to open it like this today and switch it up a little bit. It's a monster day. Plus, it's a party, right? The draft itself is a big time party, man. This is what it's about. Like we love this stuff. And the Eagles, I almost feel like this pick, and I'm going to run it by you guys, but I feel like this pick, I am pretty confident. I'm pretty calm about. You go O-line, I'm great. I don't think you should. Yesterday, JP said there are people that would boo the offensive line pick. I think that's ridiculous. Right? I really do. I'm sorry,
Saw some more comments, cuz.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. Like, there's a couple of really good offensive linemen that you could walk away with, and we understand how to build an offense, right? Like, we know that trenches win. The biggest reason why the Eagles won the Super Bowl finally had to do with the trenches. Great O-line play, great D-line play. That's what it's about, man. It's the trenches. So if you can grab an O-lineman, a good one, which there are, then the last thing I would believe that we, an intelligent fan base, would do is boo. Now, the one flip side, and this is a wild card. Yesterday, and I don't believe it, so I'm going to preface this by telling you I don't believe it. But yesterday, Dan Graziano of ESPN talked about Brock Bowers. And he said that the Eagles had an eye for Brock Bowers. Now, I find that completely fascinating. And I will tell you that I would actually love it. And I don't mind doubling down on offense. And look, I understand how this defense needs a lot of help. But you win in this league, despite, with the Ravens defense and the Niners defense and Spags' defense in Kansas City, you still win on offense. So I can only imagine having a Brock Bowers, who I think is a major weapon, a big-time weapon, almost underrated. With him, Goddard, AJ, Devontae, I mean, that could be absolutely fronting. And Saquon, I mean, that could be insane. So that's a little bit. Now, I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't believe they go receiver. The other thing is Brian Thomas out of LSU, who played opposite Neighbors, who I like a lot, who should be there in the teens. I don't think they do that. I don't think that happens. Obviously, if one of the top corners, if somehow Mitchell is there, or one of the Alabama cornerbacks, I'm excited. So I don't have a lot of angst with the first-round pick because I think it's going to be most likely O-lineman. Secondarily, I think it could be corner. And then there's the wild card, like offense kind of fun thing. And if they go down any of those roads, I'm kind of happy about it. I'll be honest with you. I'm okay. So I kind of enter this draft that with them sitting at 22, most likely looking to trade up. I come to this draft pretty at ease, at least for day one, which is tonight. I'll ask you guys to start the show. Do you feel at ease going into the draft?
I do not. I feel a little bit of anticipation, a little excitement. It would take a lot for Howie to blow this one. I like where they're at.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I prefer an offensive lineman, but Brock Bowers, I am all in on because, I don't believe they're contenders with this defense the way it is. So we might as well just go John Wick and have an arsenal and just try and outscore people by 20 points.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I'm looking at, JP. I think if you're going to overload one side of the football, you overload on offense.
Yeah, no.
Like in this league?
Yeah, no, we talked about it yesterday, drafting best available. So if that position is there, definitely go through it. And, to your point, VG, I mean, we could go QB Factory 2.0 here. Totally kidding, everyone. But no, like with how we running the show here, you never know what to expect. He could trade up, he could trade down. And so, to me, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing how he does. But like you said, VG, it's going to be really hard to screw this up, especially if you are going with that mindset of drafting best available.
Well, that's what I mean. Listen, we'll go over some of the drafts. I mean, what's the fun of draft day is looking at previous drafts, and we understand that it's an inexact science. I mean, the last couple drafts. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
we had a good discussion.
And I like them going into it, but how it's turning out. Now, last year, you had this is a big season for last year's picks. I think Carter's legitimate, but the Jordan Davis draft, I liked it a lot better at the time than I do now.
I agree totally. And again, I just want to go back to Brock Bowers because will a cornerback change this team's direction this year? Probably not. I mean, it'll help. Well, an offensive lineman.
It's a building block.
Right. Though. Where Brock Bowers is, let's go. We're all in.
I mean, Brock Bowers would
let's go.
Sick.
We're all in.
It would be sick.
You can't cover that. Can you cover that? No, you can't cover that.
Come on, Mr. Linebacker. You can't cover that tight end.
Yeah, you got killer death stare eyes.
Goddard and Bowers, give me that duo. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that would be wild. And overloading on that side of the football would be a lot of fun. It would be fun. I mean, Buggy, just this year alone, forget about Brock Bowers for a second. Their offensive load should be a blast to watch.
Yeah.
Should be the best we've ever seen.
I mean, between Barkley, AJ, Devontae, Goddard. Like, are you kidding me?
That happens everywhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, plus, you still do have the tush push technically. I know Kelsey's not here, but you still have the tush push.
Well, that's why I don't understand the boo of the O-lineman. Like, there's a big-time center. There's two of them, but there's a big-time center. There's guards that can turn into tackles. Like, there's some legitimate prospects at that on the O-line. Why in the world would we boo that?
So the consensus that I heard was if we trade up for a tackle that has to sit behind lane and you can't push him over to the guard, some people will be upset by that. That's some of the things that I was hearing from the fans.
Yeah, I actually don't think they take a pure tackle.
Yeah, I don't think Howie makes that
you're
move.
talking about Latham.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think if Howie goes forward, he goes forward guard that you can then kick out the tackle. Like you'll get some immediate play. I don't see them taking a Latham.
That's where that whole mindset of drafting best available goes, because like loading up at that tackle position, even if you can move a tackle to the guard for now, dude, that's what good teams are doing, creating those mismatches all throughout the field. It's about drafting Bowers. Talk about weapons on that offense. AJ, Devontae, Dallas. Yeah. Like that's the type of things good teams do, creating those mismatches all throughout the field.
It's going to be exciting. Sixers are on, but the whole first round, you're just waiting to hear. We have a trade. We're just waiting to hear.
Right.
That.
Like this is what's wild, right? Because we have the Sixers in a pivotal game. Like, this is the resurrection game, right? Like,
amen.
Right. This is it
from the ashes.
This is it. This is the resurrection game. This is what has to happen. Like tonight. First of all, VG said it to me this morning. JP, he goes, "Listen. it's set up for them. You know you're going to get the calls tonight, especially after how bad they were, right? You're going to get the calls tonight. And then the other aspect is you got this crowd that understands how to will victory, you talk about resurrecting. They resurrected Trey Turner. We talked about the Super Bowl year behind Nick Foles, right? You know, I mean, listen, this crowd is important. And this crowd's going to be loud. Like, you know what it's going to be like. So if they lose tonight, then this was a heartless bunch.
We got character issues if they lose tonight. I mean, you saw even the Heat came out and fought last night.
Right, exactly. The Heat without Jimmy Butler on the road and go out and win in Boston. Like, there's no excuse tonight. Like, this is it. Like, you have to win tonight.
No, VG spot on. Like, you're definitely, listen, home court advantage is big. You're going to get some calls going your way. But what I'm looking for is someone to step up, like we talked about yesterday. Someone other than Embiid, Maxey, or Lowry, someone to step up in a big way. You saw the playing game, how Boom Boom Batum really stepped up, and that was the difference in winning that game. Somebody, as far as a role player, has to step up, and that's been the story of the series. The Knicks role players have stepped up, and Sixers role players have really.
Your prayers are about to be answered. DeAndre Melton's coming back tonight. He's going to give us 12. That's all we've been looking for. Is 12.
I mean, you know what's amazing is our modest wants. Like, hey, Kelly Oubre, can you get me 10? Hey, Tobias, what about like a 12 and a 9?
Someone
get something in the fourth quarter.
Someone gets Sheed down there tonight to talk to Toby right before the game.
I mean, but these are like modest wants.
I know
from the bench. Now,
for anything crazy.
We talk about how bench players, with home courts, they tend to shrink on the road and rise at home. I gotta believe maybe you might even see Buddy Hield tonight. Could he make a 3 tonight?
Nick actually called him out, kind of just mentioned, we need something from Buddy on one of the press conferences.
Good. Call him out. Yeah, I mean, he makes that first 3. The Wells Fargo Center's going to
he just needs 1 3.
Well, that's the thing. But if he makes that 3, JP, you're spot on. The crowd, because this is such a smart crowd. Look, it got behind Ben Simmons. It got behind Markelle Fultz. It tried to will those two to any sort of output, right?
Talk about resurrecting. We tried with those two.
They did. They tried. I mean, those guys were just hopeless, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to Buddy Hield, you watch. If he makes a shot, that crowd will go wild.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a big thing, too, is getting some of that spacing to open things up down low. But, yeah, Buddy Hield makes that first 3. I expect the Wells Fargo Center to go louder than Citizens Bank Park in October.
And I want a clean one. I want a swish, because we've all shot hoops. You hit that swish, man, that feels good. Gives you some confidence. You don't want a doinker or rolling around in there. You want a nice swish from Buddy Hield to get him rolling.
You want pure.
Yeah, man.
You want nothing but net.
So he feels it. Yeah, nothing but net.
Yeah. No, I you know about that, don't you, dude? Yeah. When you
automatic.
You buried a 3, he likes to bury the 3.
It's the best feeling.
He buries the triple.
It's the best.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Man, Ant's heating up. He's taking off the hoodie.
I'm hot.
Let's go.
I can't. We got a big day, man.
Get him a
He
towel.
wants the game right now. He wants the game right now.
I'm like, no, we got the draft. And by
That's
the way,
a weird feeling.
The game's 7:30 tonight, right?
Right.
So then you have the draft.
What time's the draft? 8?
Yeah.
So what? We're
8
picking
o'clock.
like closer to 9, around 9 o'clock. I mean, depending on
later
how
than that,
he
but you got to be tuning in for the trades. And you got to stay off Twitter. Twitter ruins the draft. I've been there. They always have a pick or the trade ahead of time.
Stay I agree.
Off Twitter. Just have the pure suspense.
I don't know about you guys, but the other thing that I struggle with sometimes, and that's why I can't do social media while I'm watching games, is the delay.
Right.
The delays are different.
Yes.
Right. Like depending on which service you have.
Yes.
Like I still have Comcast. Right. Like so,
me too. We're dinosaurs.
Right. Exactly. Right. So,
YouTube TV, baby.
That's what I hear.
YouTube TV is unbelievable. YouTube Sports, the whole thing. But I don't like. It freaks me out. Then I'm looking at the DVR. Did I make sure it's live right now? Because
it's the worst. I got a buddy in Pittsburgh. He's always ahead of me by 30 seconds.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
I can't take that. I hate that. Yeah. And you know what's funny? On the ESPN Gamecast, That's ahead.
That's ahead.
Oh, yeah. The notification comes up all the time before the game's over.
Yeah.
But I hate that.
But if you're watching-
and then sometimes it messes with you, right? Like it fools you, right? Because you want to make sure, like, what happened? Did he make this free throw? And like you can find out,
And now you know-
before you see it.
Yeah, 2 points have been scored. It's terrible.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
That was happening during the Flyer season. Watching the game with Charlie and Bill, and then all of a sudden I see the goal on my phone. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Right? No.
Yeah.
It's
frustrating.
I mess with him, right? I go, I believe they're going to score right now.
Oubre with a 3.
Got a hunch.
I got a hunch. And then like I try to lay it out. Look at that. Daddy knows.
Typical
That's his
dad.
life.
Yeah.
My dad used to do it with the red light's going to turn green, and he'd count the 3 because he'd see the yellow on the other cross street. I'd be like, how's he know when it's turning? That's so good.
That's the best. By the way, we're popping off. This is our opening. Popping off with Ollipop. Find your favorite Ollipop flavor at your nearest Wawa.
Wow.
That's right. All right. So let me get to it. So if they win, so we got to believe that they win tonight, right?
Got to.
You have to.
Have to.
Listen, if they don't win, then
I'm out. I'm not even watching Sunday.
Exactly. No, if they lose tonight, then we got to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That, now it's like, yo, dude, like that's it.
Clean house, which they are, because they only
Well,
have
they
2
are
players
clean
on their
house.
team.
Either way,
Exactly.
we're cleaning house.
But no, you have to win tonight, and then it's on Sunday, and Sunday is at 1:00.
I know.
on
a 1
ABC,
o'clocker.
which I love. That's like old school, right? 1 o'clock playoffs on a Sunday. If I told you how many freaking Sixer playoff games,
Does it take
in
you
the
back
day
to Dr.
as a
Davis,
kid-
Larry Bird?
It does. But when I was a kid, those games would be at 1:00
That's
or
awesome.
noon.
And it's early enough, no like weekday
Yeah.
stress or worries get into your body. Like,
Yeah, the
1
1
o'clock,
o'clock.
1 o'clock,
Like,
it's like feeling good.
It's like the Eagles start, like the 1:00 football game.
Yeah.
I want to see some tailgaters out there. I want to see you guys at 8 in the morning tailgating that game for if we
Well,
win tonight.
If they
of
win,
course.
you might see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I might see
People are
some
going to be
protesters if they lose Sunday.
Sell
Yeah,
the
you want
team.
to protest something? You protest that?
Yeah.
My God, unbelievable. So I guess I'm curious how they come out. I almost think they win by margin tonight, and then it goes. And this is how the rhythm of these series go. Then it's on the game 4,
Yeah, I really honestly,
and the whole series is about game 4.
because I really don't care how they start the game. Because if you see game 1 and game 2, like they started off fine, and then what happened was they collapsed. It was second quarter or third quarter. So really, what you want to see them is finish out a game for once, and that was the difference in game 2, obviously. So for me, it's about playing those full 4 quarters. But I'm going into this with a little bit of a different mindset. You saw me; I was super positive, super amped up. I'm going with indifference tonight. Going with a little bit of indifference.
What do you
Going into
mean
the game.
indifferent?
Because I don't
Indifference.
want to get myself out like I did for
No.
game 2.
You
I'm
can't
going-
be
I'm
indifferent.
just
Imagine
there.
Thank God he's not going to
Watch
the
the
game
game.
tonight.
I
Imagine
know.
getting tickets and being indifferent down
I'm just going to observe. I'm just going to observe the game.
You can't. First of all, listen. Listen. This is where we got to school you, right?
He's about to get punched in the arm.
And him, right? They all got to get schooled. All 3 of them got to get schooled. You can never go into playoffs indifferent because you can't trick yourself. Obviously, you want your team to win, right? So don't try to play this nonsense. Well, if I get my hopes up, I don't get my hopes up, I can't get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And deep down, you're just trying to barter with yourself.
I'm not too high. I'm not too low.
Yes, you are. You're going to watch the game and let yourself go.
I mean, the minute Buddy Hield
There's no
nails a
inhibitor.
30, I'm gonna be like,
yeah, let's go. Right.
You can't enjoy the highs if you don't get the lows and the misery.
What do I say? You know this.
What?
You must bleed to know bliss.
oh, man.
Yeah.
Right? To know true bliss.
True.
You got to bleed. All right?
Come on, Blood Brothers tonight.
No, you do. You got to bleed. Like this is I indoctrinated these 2 into it. Like they're 4 for 4 guys. Right? Like heartache, disappointment. This is what it is.
Good parenting.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
These kids lived through
It's a Philadelphia
2022 as
way.
well.
right? He's a little. You know what's funny? He's a little He's not wide-eyed optimistic. Massimo.
That's good, right?
No, he's got a little jade to him.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No?
No, when I was
optimist. They end up
when I
getting-
was their age, I had the wide eye. Yeah, Eagles. They're going to go, 14-2, and we're not going to go 14-2.
Oh yeah, I was. Don't laugh too hard. Laughing turns to crying. I was always probably with the anxiety. I'm always waiting.
Oh,
for
you had anxiety? Oh,
yeah,
my
man.
God.
Come on.
No, I
remember-
was the opposite. I'll be all right. I led with my heart all the way.
Yeah, I feel Moss.
I still remember the 06 loss to the Saints in the playoffs, and that was like the first time second time I cried over the Eagles. My dad's looking at me, he's like, "Why are you crying? It's just an Eagle." Obviously, for context, my dad is a Colombian, from Colombia, he doesn't understand the whole NFL thing. So like when I was crying after that game, he was like, "Why are you crying? It's just a game." Like you trying to explain to me, it's just a game. It's not, it's not anything crazy. But that was, growing up, that was the same way. Like Eagles were everything to me.
Yeah.
Still to this day, but
No,
it's a little more back then.
No, it's a big day. I don't know about you, but I love the draft. Like when we talk
so
about
much
those
fun.
draft moments,
Yeah.
like those draft moments, and they usually coincide with, Sixers and Flyers playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not a big mock guy, scouting guy, but I love the draft. I think the NFL does, and ESPN, they all do a really good job of presenting drama in something that other sports, it's not that dramatic, but the NFL draft is fun. It's a gathering
it's way
moment.
better than any other.
Like I'm probably staying home tonight because the local pub I go to is going to have the Sixers volume on, but I want to be able to hear the draft as well as I flip between the two.
I love the ding, 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 the jingle.
Yes.
It's the
You get like a
greatest.
tingle. It's like
It does, right? Like Andrew, you love it.
Yeah, that's a good sound, man. I love that.
Yeah, can you get it?
Yeah. I can try to find it. I can try to find it. Yeah.
That's just music to my ears.
That's why today it feels a little weird because like usually like on draft day I'm eagled up, like I'm pulling out my jersey after a couple of months. It was sitting in the closet,
yeah,
but
we got
today
both.
it's game 3. I got to be Sixered out.
Well, we're gonna need both. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I normally would go down Sixers, but draft. I need to be like.
What do
Double
you think
screen
about the
today.
Brown Sixers hat? You a fan?
This one's a Mitchell
No,
Ness.
I don't like. I love Mitchell Ness. I don't like that hat.
BG, we got to go with the neutral color.
He
man.
hates anything off team colors.
I
Flaming
do.
the hat.
I hate all team. Like that's
Even the
not
Phillies hats?
colors. That's not the right colors. What's that?
Even like the Phillies hats, you don't like a brown like fitted, like no.
No, Philly. No, I hate it. No. You got to be true to the color. What? Why have a color if you could throw any color with the logo
Because
on?
I got to match the outfit, cuz.
No, listen. I'm not saying for you, whatever. It looks good on you, but I don't like the Sixer piece of it. It's a nice hat, but I don't like the Sixer piece of it.
I got you.
I don't like the. It's bad enough. I don't even like the green Phillies.
Stir up the pot there.
Sorry about that. Two streeters, the Irish American.
Listen, the St. Patrick's Day Phillies. I get it. Like
Yeah,
spring
one day.
training.
Yeah.
So you can do it.
No,
But
I'm
I don't
with you.
like the as a that's not Phillies. That's not their colors.
Yeah,
Let alone brown. Like brown is, and brown's a horrid color.
Let's nice
Like-
earth tone.
Yeah, like that.
Earth Day
like,
week,
Earth
earth tone.
tone.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Right? From a sports standpoint.
Yeah, I figured that much.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Now, here's the thing. I
It
wouldn't.
clashes with the other color. Like the red. It's just not. I just don't
A
like
hat
it.
like this, I probably wouldn't bring down to the center, but like I would definitely wear like Friday night or like this.
All right.
No, listen. Forget the hat's cool. I'm just talking about the Sixer logo with the brown.
I got you. Okay.
Flame in the hat, man. I love it.
No, it's just it's the Sixer logo with the hat. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey man,
You like that hat?
I was taking some shrapnel for Edmonton hat in the comments. I mean, the hats get shrapnel every now and then.
You like that hat, Moss?
You be honest.
Would you wear his hat? Would you wear his hat?
Got the double now.
At least they're honest. I appreciate that.
Listen, it's a great looking hat.
Thank
Yes.
you, sir.
Just the Sixer thing. I gotta tease you. Anyway, all right, we got a lot to do today. It's going to be kind of that kind of show. I figure we make it family, and that's what we do, right? We bust out the family, we have fun. So it's going to be one of those deals where it's going to be a lot of fun and in and out. So the bro's going to join us coming up. Where he's going to have some fun with that to continue the clubhouse feel to it. Chris Broussard from Fox Sports will join us today to talk about the Sixers and Knicks. And then Kevin Negandhi from Detroit will be in the big sit down, and we'll go over the draft with Kevin today. So looking forward to talking to Kevin who will be hosting SportsCenter live tonight from Detroit. So we'll talk to Kev, Clubhouse, get you set for a big day in Philadelphia sports. Let me tell you about Butcher Box. We always talk about the Meat Locker, right? Like the Meat Locker, NFL. We did the Meat Locker mock yesterday. Baldy and I, well, guess what? Butcher Box. This is how I feed these two, right? Like I do it with Butcher Box. They like meat, right? They're carnivores.
Carnivores?
They're carnivores.
Baldy, their godfather.
Right, yeah. They like steak, and that's what they eat. You know, he's 14 and he's 11, and they got to eat. They eat meat. Butcher Box. You can find high quality meat and seafood you can trust. 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork-raised, crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. You're mainly raised, no antibiotics, no added hormones. That's why I feel confident in giving my kids Butcher Box. They only use the best stuff, man. It's incredible. Less trips to the grocery store. You're always prepared, right? Like, especially now it's grill season. You're always prepared. Steaks, chicken, whatever it is, chops. Like, you're good to go with Butcher Box, man. Great value stuff. The prices are sensational. You could pick what box you want. You want, the pork. You want the meat. Like I went on the other day to get our box, and I just did all beef. All beef, VG.
No, of course you would.
Because there you go, all beef.
No.
Now, they like the chicken.
Yeah, they're poultry guys.
Yeah, he likes the
I'm a
chicken.
poultry
He
guy.
likes the chicken.
Yeah.
But they like to see little shit, but they like the beef. He's a hamburger
Beef
guy.
Where's the beef? It's in the Butcher Box.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the Butcher Box. Butcher Box, by the way, offering our listeners get free meat. All right. $20 off your first box. You got to love it. Join today using our link, butcherbox.com/PHLY. Butcherbox.com/PHLY. All right, buddy.
There is nothing better than grilling in the backyard of your own home, because there really is nothing better than that. And, speaking of home, if you guys are in the market for looking home, our next sponsor here may be able to help you out. We're talking about Mortgage CS, ladies and gentlemen, and heads up, we are currently in spring. The housing market is heating up, not only with the prices going down and the interest rate that everyone's looking for to go down. That's why we have Mortgage CS, because they offer refinancing options, including rate and term refinances for a rate/payment reduction or cash out refinances to tap into home equity. And of course, we were wondering, what does Mortgage CS stand for? It stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, which means it's a white glove service, and it's an independent mortgage broker based right here in Philadelphia. But if you're not in Philly, they are coast to coast, so no need to worry. And they're here to educate and empower their clients, help their clients obtain ultra competitive rates, and provide exceptional customer service. They are available 24/7. And guys, Alec and Ben are the two CEOs, but right now you see Ben Stucker, the CEO. Ben's phone number is at the bottom of the screen if you're watching live on YouTube, 267-391-7425. On a crazy Philly sports day, why don't you text them? Ask him about Game 3. Ask him how he feels about the NFL draft. What are the Birds going to do here tonight? You can ask him, or, of course, you can ask them some of those home buying questions that you may be having, because they can help you out. But there are other options to communicate with them. You can email Ben at ben@mortgagecs.com, or you can go onto the website, mortgagecs.com/PHLY, and you can get started here today with your house buying experience. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to a credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
Thank you, JP. Good stuff. So it's funny. It's take your kids to work day. So if that's why you see my sons right here. So it's a lot of fun. Do you ever go to work with your dad?
No, my dad was a firefighter. I'd go sit on the truck like when he was off. We'd go up there.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
but he never
cool.
brought me to a fire.
Well, not to a fire, but he brought you to the
Yeah, we
firehouse.
sat on the trucks. I'm thinking, at least give them their phones. They look like they're under punishment sitting here behind us without their phones.
Well, it
Let
was
them do
funny.
some draft research for us.
Well, it was funny. So my wife goes, well, I think they should stay off camera for the rest of the show. And I'm like, why? Like, they're, she's like, well, they're not part of the show. Well, they are. Like,
They're support.
Like, we're going to,
They're important parts of the show.
Right. Like, did you ever go to work with your dad?
You know, it's funny because Andrew and I were talking about this earlier. Like, we were like a little jealous of both Massimo and Anthony because, like, growing up, like, I know myself. I asked my dad, I was like, "Yo, Dad, like, friends at school, or they're going to work with their parents. Can I go work with you?" He was like, "No, your job is to go to school."
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad would never.
He's old school.
Yeah.
Old school Colombian.
Yeah.
You don't mess with that.
Yeah. But it's funny because he would take me to work with him in the summer times. I would go to North Philly with him, help him out in those houses. My dad flips homes in North Philly, so.
Oh, nice.
So that, yeah. So,
Very cool.
Yeah, so I would go in the summer and help him. That would teach me that hard work because those houses were they didn't have air conditioning in them. You're working in.
He
like
give you the worst
heat.
job, like cleaning up
Oh
dust
my
and
God.
sweeping and stuff.
I hated when he had a roof job. He would do some contract work in Jersey. He would do roof jobs. I had to clean up all the shingles he threw on the ground. That sucked.
Oh, did you really?
That was terrible.
Yeah. That's nasty. All right. Do we have the bro?
We got him. He's here.
the bro?
Yep.
I want to get
Bringing him in.
I want to get the bro real quick before we get the bro. I got a question for you guys, right? Like, so do you want to go play Xbox or stay for the rest of the show? You can do literally whatever you want. You can leave right now and go play Xbox and the video games, or you can stay on the show. You going to stay on the show? All right.
All right.
How about you?
All right.
Stay on the
man.
show?
Let's do
All
it.
right.
And
All right.
kicking that older brother.
Yeah.
pressure.
All right. I love it.
Well, it's like, what am I supposed to say
Big
now?
story of the day. The draft and game 3 presented by TrueMark.com, TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out TrueMark.com/PHLY. Stop at your local branch to learn more about the credit union difference in TrueMark Financial today. Bro, what do you say, bro?
What up? Happy draft day. Ant and Moss in the house. What an honor. I got to
You
watch
gonna
my
take the
mouth today.
girls? You taking the girls in today?
I just dropped them off at school. So, no, they're not coming in with me. We got Phillies post game. If it's anything like last night, I'll be cursing. So, no, they're in school today.
All right. So I got a couple of I had to get it's one of those days, right, where it's such a fun day in Philadelphia. And you and I have shared so many of these moments together. Like, we've talked about it in advance. We've talked about it the next day. So let's go through it. And let's start with the draft. All right.
Yeah.
Do you I feel oddly at ease for at least the day one. For at least the first day, I think you really can't go wrong. I would be fine with an offensive lineman. I would be fine if they did something wild, like, trade up and get Brock Bowers, right? And I would love a corner.
The Brock Bowers thing, I think, is it's certainly exciting. I'm with you. Like, I'd be okay with most,
but I'm just saying something along those lines, something wild like that, whatever.
I want a cornerback desperately. I'm a give me a cornerback or give me death type of guy tonight. So I will be slightly hurt if they don't get a cornerback. If they go offensive lineman, it's a story as old as time with the Eagles. It's smart football. I can't ever get upset with it. But I do want a cornerback. Zach Berman always says you got to think 5 years, not 1 year. And to me, like, that says cornerback. Darius Slay's on his last legs. Bradbury's done. Ringo's promising, but you can't count on it yet. Isaiah Rodgers, we don't really know. There's nobody there for the next 5 years. So to me, there's 3 kids, whether it's Arnold, Toledo kid, Kool-Aid, even Cooper DeJean. Like, any of those 4, I think I'm pretty good with. Just give me one of those guys and get the lockdown corner.
It's interesting. Like, I love Arnold, and I love Mitchell, right? Kenyon Mitchell,
yeah.
Right? I love those 2. Kool-Aid, I think, is a little bit of a
the name alone.
DeJean, listen, he's a good athlete. My only thing about him is they didn't play a ton of past teams, right? Like, they didn't.
Sure.
They weren't like airing out. Now, I guess athletically he's superior. He's very good. So
let's get a white cornerback. Let's get weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's get weird. Let's mix it up a little bit.
But I just don't know. The O-line, and we've studied that, right? So I've studied it with Baldy. I know it's not sexy, but there's some a lot of value. Guys that can come in today, play guard or play center.
Yeah, my thing is like you're so close. You're on the doorstep. I want the first round pick to contribute year one. You know, like I don't think Lane has less than 2 years in him. So like to me, you have Stoutland,
really?
you have a develop. I mean, I think he's got 3 or 4, but you know.
Oh, okay,
like,
okay. I thought you said
I think worst
you
case
think he
he's got
only
2.
had 2 years, right?
I mean, he's been hurt a lot. He's mentioned, not playing until he's 40 before. So to me, like if you're taking a tackle, if he's got guard capability, I think it makes a lot of sense. But if you're going tackle, that kid's just going to sit on the bench for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but there's only you look at the tackles now, there's really only Latham. You're not getting all, right? So
no.
So the only one is Latham, and I don't think they go that route. I think all those other guys can play guard. And then you can kick them out to tackle if need be.
Yeah, I mean, if they can play guard, that definitely changes things. I don't want to straight up tackle in the first round. And if he does get nuts and trade up, the guy I'm real horny for is Jared Verse. If there's a way, if he's in that 12 to 15 range, dude, he is a grown man that throws people around.
Yeah.
If he's sitting there at like 13, 14, I'm going to be going, come on, Howie, do it. Pull the rabbit out of the hat. Go get this kid. But like you said, I'm good with most things.
Yeah, like Verse is a true defensive end.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a monster. I love the kid. But let's play. Listen, it's not happening, all right? But the Bowers thing is fun to talk about. And I just go, well, I love it. Like, I love it. Only because that side of the ball, he's great. Like, he's almost one of these undervalued kids. Like, people don't realize how dangerous he could be. And you put him, Goddard, Barkley, Devontae, AJ, oh, my God.
I mean, it's the best offense on paper, in Eagles history and, possibly in the NFL. So, like, I get the intrigue of it. To me, it just feels almost unnecessary. Like, you just got Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? You have Devontae Smith and AJ.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like there's other needs, but if they got him, there
are other needs. I mean, without it, certainly there are other needs. And it's not happening. But I'll put it this way. I would do it. And here's why I would do it is if I'm going to overload on one side of the ball, it's going to be offense. Listen,
sure.
And you know me, I'm a defensive. I love defense, right? But how you win really today is you win with an offense.
Yeah, I mean, defense is a luxury in today's NFL. Offense is where you win. And, you brought in Vic Fangio to kind of, make some magic out of some doo-doo. So we'll see what he can do. He just has to be okay. They can't be terrible. So I'm with you that you win in an offense in the NFL. So if they do it, I'll be doing cartwheels.
All right, this part of the program is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Download it today, and you get your SGP for Sixers Knicks tonight. So how you feeling, man? Like, let me just throw it at you. We've seen this crowd resurrect Trey Turner, Nick Foles. It tried to do Ben Simmons and Fultz. What's your take tonight?
My take tonight is who the hell is going to step up outside of Tyrese and Joel? That's what this series is coming down to. Those two have been great. You've gotten, 16 points in 2 games from your bench? Do Buddy Hield's arms even work? Why is he on the court if he's not shooting the basketball? What are you doing? Paul Reed's been non-existent. Nico's been non-existent. Somebody has to step up here. The obvious answer is Tobias Harris. And I've been doing a lot of late-night NBA watching this week. And whether it's McDaniels on Minnesota or Michael Porter Jr., a team's third option is always stepping up and helping the big two. And the Sixers just don't have that. They don't. And somebody's got to do it. And I'm not drunk enough yet to say it's going to be Tobias Harris. I think that's crazy. I hope it's Batum because he's got NBA onions.
Uncle bro.
I hope it's Batum. I hope Nico Batum starts shooting. At least he'll shoot. But, that's what we're talking about. But DeAnthony Melton should help, at least defensively. Maybe you can have Joe down low a little bit more, hitting the glass. We'll see.
I need Oubre tonight. Like, dude, I need Oubre to give me something.
Where did he go?
I have to tell you, I'm probably listen. I expected Tobias to be what he is. I did by this point. You kind of expect it. Buddy Hield's been a mess, so that's not really a surprise. But what's really surprised me is that Oubre has come up small. I thought he was impervious to that big moment. I thought like he's Tobias without any kind of harness. Like he's not worried about stuff.
My concern with him is he's too pretty for the playoffs. Like, he's got those eyes, his hair's looking like he's just disappearing. Like, like he's too pretty. He's not gritty enough. He's got to go to the hole and like make something happen, and he's not doing it. He's shying away from the light. He's been the entire team outside of Tyrese and Joel has been so disappointing that it's like nauseating.
Yeah.
I hate to use the word hate, but like, can somebody step up here and play basketball? Like this isn't rocket science. We need one guy to step up. The defense has been fine. You need some dogs on the glass. One guy. I don't care who it is. Oubre, Nico, Tobias, Buddy. Somebody just get 15 points. Like, just get 15 points. This shouldn't be that difficult.
So I got to believe they're going to win tonight. I mean, just the rhythm of a series, right? Like we were talking about it earlier. The Heat with no Jimmy come out and beat Miami and beat Boston. Like, are you kidding me? So tonight should easily be the bounce back. You're going to get, I think, home court calls, right? Especially after the Knicks got the home court calls. So you're going to get that stuff.
Yeah, you better. I mean, that I'm not over the other night. I'm glad the game wasn't last night because I needed an extra night to kind of get my bearings again. That was utter garbage the other night. And, they gave that Knicks team. And the thing I can't get out of my head, Ann, is it's 92% now. Yeah. 92% of the teams that go up 2-0 win. So, the NBA, granted, yes, the Sixers could have done other things to control their own destiny, but they didn't. And the refs botched it in a major way. And the 2-minute report made it worse. And I just feel like they're in this 8% corner, and it's going to be really, really hard to get out of.
Yeah. I think you win tonight. And then it goes all about Sunday, bro. It's just like, let's go Sunday, 1:00. You even the series, and then let's see. Like that's kind of how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I have a 1:40 tee time on Sunday, so I'll be canceling that if they win. If they don't win, I'm probably going to be teeing it up.
All right, that's fair.
I've wasted enough of my life on this Sixers team. They're not taking a tee time.
If it's 0-3, no violation on bro. I agree. All right, we'll see you here later on for Phillies.
Yeah, Phillies post game today. Wheeler versus bullpen game for the Reds. Got to even this series after last night.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Good stuff, brother. There he is, the bro, James Lynch Jr., our PHLY Phillies man, along with Renee Washington, as we have a day game today. Phillies and Reds close out that series before they go to San Diego. Now, joining us via the phone is a dear friend of mine from Fox Sports, a great basketball guy. In fact, he and I covered a lot of basketball while we were both in New York together. Chris Broussard joins us. And so Chris will be up in just a minute to kind of look at the series, kind of break this down. They got to look at, because the way I see it, again, you're going to win tonight. All right. So you have to, it's the ultimate pride night tonight. If you lose, it's no pride. So you're going to win tonight. And then it's going to come down to Sunday. And then, Sunday is game 4 is how it works. And, that'll dictate which way to go. Because now if you come back, you win Sunday, you go back to New York. Now it's a series, right? It's a 3-game series, best of 3. All of a sudden, New York's got the pressure to keep home court, right? So it's a completely different feel. You lose Sunday, I have very little faith you come back from a 3-1 deficit.
They lose. They lose Sunday.
You lose one or the other.
Yeah. Just sit and beat. I wouldn't even play them.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I
and
hear
B
you.
told you after game 2.
Well,
when
he
his head
said
was
that they
down.
were going to win this series.
Yeah. We're
I
still winning
listen.
the series.
I want to go to my man Chris Broussard, Fox Sports. Again, he and I covered the NBA together in New York. He does such a great job for Fox Sports and the Odd Couple with Rob Parker. Chris, we got him. Yeah, Chris.
You guys hear me?
I got you, buddy. Good
What's
to have you
happening,
on.
man? Great to be on with you.
So I had to pick your brain about this series because it's been driving me insane.
Well, look, first of all, it's just a shame what happened at the end of game 2, right? And I know, it does no good for the Sixers fans to harp on it, and certainly not their players. But, the NBA admitted they essentially took a game away from the Sixers. And it's such a hard-fought series when your best player is banged up like Embiid is. That's tough to handle. But you got to overcome it. They got to put it behind them. And it really should be 1-1. But outside of that, like my pick was Knicks in 7. So I think this is going to be a long-fought series. I think Philly ties it up 2-2. And, game 5 is pivotal. But I picked the Knicks because I didn't think Embiid was 100%, and obviously he's not. He's still shooting the ball well, but he's not, he's not able to rebound. Defensively, he's not what he has been. And I think that will be the defining thing about this series is that the Knicks will be able to prevail because Embiid isn't at his best, even as he's putting up some points for you.
What's amazing, the storyline too, Chris, is that the Sixers have really done a good job on Brunson. So they've kept Brunson at bay, and it's been Hart, and it's been role play Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson in game 1, Miles McBride in game 1.
Yep.
So it's been all that supporting cast.
Well, Philly, they did a great job on Brunson in the regular season too. So I figured he wouldn't come in and be able to have his way. He's gutted his way through some stuff to get 23 points a game, but he's shooting below 30%. I think he'll pick it up above that. But you said it. I mean, you cannot – first of all, credit to Josh Hart and Miles McBride and these guys, but you cannot let them score like that. Hart cannot be getting 21 points a game. He's a 10-point scorer, and that's something the Sixers have to fix because, like you said it, they've shut down or at least – limited severely their main guy, which is Brunson, but the others have been able to pick it up. And I got to be honest, and you guys probably see it. So far, it looks like the Knicks have just wanted it more. And I get that there were fouls. There were fouls on that last play with Maxey and everything. But still, the Knicks were hustling their tails off, and the Sixers looked like they were just hoping the clock would wind down. And that's the difference so far in this series is the Knicks look like they're hungrier than the Sixers. And evidence of that, you're getting nothing from Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre, which has surprised me because Harris is obviously a good player and Oubre has been very good for you guys this season. But so far, they haven't given you anything. And with Embiid playing on one leg, it's tough. Kyle Lowry's out there doing the best he can, but he's 38 years old, for goodness sake. I mean, he's only going to be able to do so much. So, unlike the Knicks, the Sixers haven't gotten the help from their quote-unquote others, and that is also a big difference in this series.
Huge. And not only have they not contributed, they've looked scared, right? They've looked timid. They've played like lambs. Like you bring up to Tobias or you bring up Oubre, who I'm shocked because I thought he could play with little care and just let it hang out.
He was gritty, right? Gritty, and I did not think he would shrink in this moment.
No.
Maybe I was fooled by the tattoos or something, but I don't know. I mean, I expected a dog. And look, I still think he is, but he got to wake up, man. I know he obviously hadn't had a lot of playoff experience, but he's got to wake up. And, they got to get this game tonight, obviously, and they're going to need Oubre and Harris, or at least one of them, to step up with a solid game.
Hey, what were you surprised at all about Buddy Hield? Like, what a mystery, man. Like, I got to tell you, I mean, you want to talk about being timid in the moment. Playoffs, I'm shocked at the looks that he gets on the floor.
Yeah, and that's what he is a shooter, right? And he's not hitting them. He obviously hadn't played a ton of minutes, but he hadn't earned them. But in this series where you need shooting and every little detail counts, if he can give you some buckets, and maybe going home, playing at home always helps the role players, right? Like you said it, the Knicks role players have stepped up largely because they've been at the Garden. And maybe, tonight and the next game, the Sixers role players will step up. I would expect at least a few of them to play much better than they did in New York.
This is a coming out party a bit for Tyrese Maxey, who was named the most improved player. And I just want to get your take on him, Chris. And we're talking to Chris Broussard, Fox Sports, a great sports guy, great NBA guy. It's funny. We talked about Harden, the role of Harden, and how he kind of sagged and all. And Maxey's been the opposite, and he had his flu game. It's a shame if the Sixers win Game 2. That's Maxey's flu game. I mean, that was an impressive performance.
Nah, he was great. He was great, and as you said, he was the most improved player this year. Now, I'm a voter. I'm an official voter. I did not even have him on my ballot. It was not out of disrespect to him, but I feel like it was out of respect. He was great last year.
You're right.
Right? As the third guy giving you 20 points a game, he was efficient from the floor. I really thought, as great as he was this year, deserving All-Star, I thought the only difference was he just got more opportunities because obviously James Harden wasn't there and the ball was in his hands. His numbers went up, but his efficiency went down a little bit, but that's fine. But I just thought he was a very good player last year. This year, with more opportunities, he played even better. But I didn't think that was most improved because I usually look at a guy that really was kind of off the radar, at least made a huge jump and went from being like maybe mediocre or okay to, oh, wow, this guy, really put up some all-star type numbers. So Maxey, I thought, was already the guy last year, and he just didn't get as much of an opportunity because of James Harden. But, yeah, he look, I mean, honestly, he's given me more than Embiid. And, again, we understand Embiid has the injury, but Maxey has been great. He's been the best player in the series. I mean, when you really look at all the numbers, he's been the best player in the series. And what I need from Embiid too is I need some better rebounding.
Yeah,
because you guys are getting killed on the glass. The Sixers are getting killed on the glass, right? And that last play when DiVincenzo hit the three, I mean, Embiid, that was his box out. Hartenstein got the rebound. That was Embiid's box out, and he didn't get one rebound in the second half. I need more from Embiid.
He had 10 points in the first quarter. Or 10 in the first quarter.
So don't tell me you can't rebound. If you got 10 in a quarter, you should be able to get a few over the rest of the game. So Embiid's got, look, I just bake in now that come playoff time, Embiid's not going to be 100%. You hope he's playing. He's probably going to miss a game or two in each postseason. And when he plays, he's going to be 70 to 80%. And that's what you see. But now I'm like, look, if you're out there, I'm going to hold you accountable. And I need him to be a little tougher inside. I need him to rebound better. He's a fantastic jump shooter. But I also want a little bit more inside, too, because they need some physicality.
Listen, I hear you. Last thing, brother, You're the perfect guy to ask this question because you've covered games in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center. You and I worked together in New York and, spent a lot of time together at Madison Square Garden. What's the tougher arena to play in?
Wow. That's a great question. Look, obviously Philly has fantastic fans. And when you got good fans, when they'll get on the home team too. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, look, we coming with expectations. All right, we're paying your bills, so we want you to give it your all. But I will say the Garden, just because of the setup. It's how it is. It's dark all around the outside, and it's like you're on a stage, right? Like Broadway or something, because the court is lit up, but the crowd is dark, right?
Yes.
And then you got, you'll have stars here and there in Philly. I remember seeing Bill Cosby and Will Smith and guys at playoff games. But, you got rappers, you got actors, you got celebrities in the front rows. And for players and teams that aren't used to that can, these are people sometimes you look up to or you're big fans of. And sometimes that can be a little bit of a factor, or at least something you got to adjust to. So I would say the Garden, its history, even though the Knicks haven't been a terrific team throughout their history, the Garden is a hallowed place. And, the players in the Athletic, they just had an anonymous player poll. And the majority of the players said that that was the arena they liked playing in the most. So it's our biggest city in the country. Even though the team isn't that good, it's still New York City, right? And so I do think that holds some significance. So I would say the Garden is the better place to play, or tougher place to play.
All right. I love it. It's a great debate, man. It's the whole thing, big brother, little brother city.
Right.
I wrote about it in the Post the other day. It's a lot of fun. Chris, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much, my man. I always appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime you need me, you know that, man. Keep up the great work.
And vice versa, I'll be listening, man. We work together on Fox Sports Radio and Chris, of course, on FS1 as well. Thanks, brother. Have a great one, pal.
All right, my man. Peace.
There he is, Chris Broussard.
Great interview.
NBA analyst for Fox Sports. Coming up, draft.
It's like we just photoshopped the picture of him here. He's not reacting to anything.
He's used to me. So, like, before he has the two of them, right? Before they have games, right? Like, I'll sit there and go, like, on the way to their games, I'll go, "You're a lion. You're a tiger.
Does he do that?
You're a lion. You're a lion."
Next time he does it, can you record it so we can play it on the show?
You're a tiger. You gotta be rough. You gotta be angry. You gotta hit the ball a mile. You gotta hit them. Sack them.
Man, you owe them. This is probably the longest they've gone aside from sleeping or
without
looking
the
at their phones. Yeah,
Yes,
man, you owe them big for this.
That's why my wife's like, "Would you please let them free?"
Yeah.
It's their choice. They said they want to act for the show. You got one more hour in you? Yeah. Don't look mad. You got an hour in you? You do? All right. Good man. All right.
Guys are awesome.
Tell us about the Ollipop.
Well, I'm glad you brought them both in because I heard they're big fans of the Ollipop.
They love the Ollipop. Don't you like the Ollipop? Yeah. Don't you like the Ollipop? Yeah. See that?
Look at that. I love it.
And he's a soda man.
Yeah.
He puts the ice cream in it and the root beer. He loves soda. He's a soda head, and it's good for him. So I don't feel big. I'm glad they're drinking it.
I love it. We'll have a group Ollipop after the show. I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about Ollipop, ladies and gentlemen. It is the world's first functional soda with a classic soda taste and the benefits of plant-based fiber, probiotics, and other botanical ingredients to support that gut health, ladies and gentlemen. And Ollipop is a new kind of soda with only 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of fiber per can. That's big right there. And where can you get it? Guys, they're available in over 30,000 retailers, including That's right. The Wawa. You can find it right now over at Wawa. And you already heard Ant talk about some of the different flavors, like the classic root beer, strawberry vanilla, some of the most popular ones. But guys, you name it, like they have like a ginger ale type, they have a Sprite type, different names, of course, but you can find your favorite soda with Ollipop. And right now, guys, we got you hooked up with the promo code. Use the promo code PHLY20 to get 20% off your next Ollipop order. Discount only does apply to one-time orders, not to subscription orders. And Ollipop is sold online at drinkollipop.com or on Amazon. But like I said, you can find it at Wawa. You can find it at Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite, or GoPuff. So we'll see you after the show. We'll have a group round of Ollipops, and thank you to our friends over at Ollipop.
Love the Ollipop. Dude, I eat organic.
You're a fiber guy.
Organic whole wheat bread, 2 grams of fiber per slice. 4 slices of bread still is not as much fiber as an Ollipop.
It's crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
It's crazy.
Good gut health, and it tastes good. That's the most amazing thing about it.
It's awesome.
Oh, you know what else tastes good? Primo.
Oh, yeah.
Primo Hoagies. Oh, yes. Now, you like the meatball. Anthony always likes the Primo Hoagie meatball.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
That's definitely your favorite. He loves that. And you like the Genoa salami.
It's good.
You love that. Like so
Salami cheese. Oh, yeah.
And you know what the thing is that on that seeded roll, like the roll makes it, man. And look, we have a big night in Philadelphia. It's draft night. It's game 3. So it's sports, man. There's nothing better than Primo Hoagies. Perfect for watching games. You're going to have parties. The Primo party tray. They also have all the great pickies. Like one of the most underrated items is the pepperoni and the cheese and the supersata, like all that stuff, the olives, the pepper shooters. They have all that stuff. And you have it perfect for the pickies for you're watching the draft or you're watching a game. It's great, for sharing with everybody. Check out primohoagies.com. There's over 90 locations across the Delaware Valley, all over the place. All right, so you got to check it out. And they're all like the original. Right on Rittner Street. 1992 is when Primo's got started. All right? A lot of drafts since then. All right, so check out Primo Hoagies, and you'll say what I always say. It's not just a hoagie. It's a Primo. All right, we have reached the 10 a.m. hour across the Delaware Valley, and now I'm psyched. I'm pumped up. Because it's time to go to Detroit. And joining us, here he is. He's getting ready to host the big draft Sports Center tonight on ESPN. Philadelphia's own hometown hero, Kevin Negandhi. Kev!
Man, how we doing? You got the boys in there? I love that. I love that the boys are with you today.
Well, it's Take Your Kids to Work Day.
Love that.
So I figured the perfect thing. They got the day off from school to come to work with Daddy, and you know better than anybody. It's the best time when you get to spend a day with your boys.
Brother, there is nothing better than that. And then at the same time, like at the end, they think that you work at basically a Disney World, Disneyland. They want to keep on going. There's nothing better than that experience with your kids there. So what's up, guys? Good to see you guys. I heard so many things about you.
Good to see you too.
Uncle Kevin's got boys your ages. So we're all going to get together and go to a Phillies game. Right, Kev?
That would be a blast. Yeah, by the way, my 11-year-old, I'm on the set of SportsCenter last night, and you would have loved this. It's like 6:51. We just did a segment with Saban and Herb Street and Dez, and I'm wrapping up with Orlovsky. And my wife sends me video. My boy hit a inside the park home run. But the thing is, a legit one. It wasn't one of those little league ones.
Right.
Like he hit one to the wall. And his speed was so fast that by the time the right fielder got it, he was rounding second, coming down to third, and he scored, and it was cool. And I have it on video, and honestly, I'm here at the draft. I have I'm on the ESPN set, and behind us, which was really cool, the entire time we did the show, they had the ESPN, the pick is in Eagles behind us, the graphic.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I loved it with the Eagles in back of you.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And the crazy thing is that, while it's what I love and all that. I wanted to just yell it to the rooftops that my boy hit the inside the park home run. I wanted to say that on SportsCenter. So like that those are those amazing moments, and I'm glad my wife got it on video. So I just want to tell you boys, your dad's proud of you, man. He loves sharing stories with me.
The two of us, man, it's the best. Hey, do you watch the Game Changer app sometimes when you can?
I do. I watch the Game Changer app the whole time. Like that keeps me going. We got it for travel basketball, travel baseball, and Little League. So it works out great.
It's so funny because, like when we're working and we can be interviewing, whether it's Saban or you name it, right? And you see like Negandhi at up, right? And you're like, oh my God, please. And for those people, the Game Changer app basically is the ESPN Gamecast. So you'll see it come, and like you'll see where the ball goes if they hit it, or it'll say strike or ball. So you're like dying with every pitch, and you keep waiting for it to refresh to find out how your kid did.
Yeah. And at the same time, it not only does it do that with the Game Changer, it's like the Gamecast, like you mentioned. If you have a parent that's willing to give up their own phone, you could watch the game that way. And at the end of the game, they accumulate highlights, and then they send you the highlights of your son or daughter and what they did from the game video, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I got my little one who does who's travel baseball, and he has all his highlights, and he has his own YouTube channel. So
I
Yo
love
Kid
that.
Sports Junior, and he'll put his highlights on the Yo Kid Sports Junior.
That's really cool. That by the way, am I too dark here? I just realized that.
You look fabulous.
Like I'm stepping.
Yeah, you look great. Well, let's get down to it. This draft is going to be fascinating between the quarterback receivers, the trades for the quarterbacks. I mean, what's the latest you're hearing with trades?
So I feel like the Chargers are basically in the best spot, sitting there with Harbaugh, because they need to have more picks. Yet you've got the Vikings that need a quarterback. It feels like that's the natural thing. And the stuff I was hearing last night, though, was that the Vikings would love to go after Drake May, but I heard the Patriots aren't giving up that third pick no matter what. So I'm very curious to see if it plays out like this, where the Chargers are on the clock, or the Cardinals are on the clock, and the Cardinals are hearing any offers, and the Chargers are going to basically say, hey, Minnesota, give us what you got. And I've heard Minnesota doesn't want to give both those first-round picks.
Wow.
And unfortunately, if you want to get in the top 5, you've got to give up those 2 first-round picks, right? So do they pass on? Like, do we see no trades, and we see potentially a wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., going to Arizona at 4? Do we see right there at 5 that the Chargers cannot get the package that they want from Minnesota, and then they go offensive lineman, right? Which would be a big mistake to me, because they need that 11 and 23 if they can get it, right? Because then you could potentially get an offensive lineman at 11 and potentially a wide receiver at 23 in a first round that's stacked with that, right? But do you go with an offensive lineman? And then what do the Giants do? What do the Giants do at 6? Because the last time they were sitting at 6 a few years ago, they went with Daniel Jones. Do the Giants then go with J.J. McCarthy and then do a full reset and figure things out? Because they clearly regret the contract they gave Daniel Jones. And then the scenario could be, do the Vikings just sit there and say, maybe J.J. falls in our lap at 11? Because if you look at 7, 8, 9, those, they don't need quarterbacks. I mean, 9 specifically, it's the Bears, right? And then potentially, do you have the jockeying of a team like the Broncos or the Raiders that are sitting there at 12 and 13 that jump over the Vikings and try to move up? The problem is that both those teams don't have the assets to make a big move inside the top 5, top 8. Because of, the Sean Payton trade, the Russell Wilson. They don't have the assets, the Broncos, even though they desperately need a quarterback. And then I'll tell you another thing, Ant. Let's just play the scenario out, and we're at 12 and 13. Do we see specifically Sean Payton go Bo Nix at 12? And then do we see the Raiders decide they need to get a quarterback and Michael Penix at 13? Or do those two teams pass, or specifically like the Raiders, do they pass and then try to get back into the back end of the first round to get Michael Penix Jr.? So, like, there's all those scenarios out that can play. I think the draft will potentially begin at 3 with what the Patriots do.
It's unbelievable. And the quarterbacks are all so interesting, Kev. So let's talk about JJ for a second. And
yeah,
like the only thing that mystifies me is, remember, there were games where he didn't throw it. The Penn State game, he didn't throw it at all in the second half, right? Like that wasn't what Harbaugh did, and yet he has rose significantly. Now he's incredible in interviews, really smart, right?
Yep.
Like he seems very polished. What does he project as an NFL quarterback? Physical tools. What do you see from those, Kev?
So here's the thing with J.J. McCarthy. Dan Orlovsky and I have talked about this multiple times, and Dan is 100% right. If, let's just say the Vikings find a way to get J.J. McCarthy, whatever rookie quarterback that goes to the Vikings will be rookie of the year potentially, and within 2 years could be MVP in that conversation just because of what's around them.
Right.
You have Justin Jefferson. Yeah, you can do a lot of things. I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a really smart guy. So, it's hard to measure J.J. McCarthy, but I'll tell you what, it's a different viewpoint when you watch him on a Giants team that has basically nothing, right? When it comes to options, if you're comparing the Vikings to the Giants and how an offense looks. So it's really hard to gauge. If you have Michael Penix Jr., if the kid stays on the field and you are protecting him, you got a potential game changer because of his arm. Michael Penix Jr. can beat teams because of his arm. You can't say that about J.J. McCarthy. You can't say that about Bo Nix. So I think it's just the situation, the roster around you, and then do you have the right coaching to make sure that you're putting the quarterback in the right spot? I think J.J. McCarthy, I hate the word game manager, but he's not in the top tier of quarterbacks. He's not in the top one of those 3 that we're talking about. And you could even make it it's 2 tiers at the top, and that is Caleb Williams by himself, Jaden Daniels, Drake May in tier 2, and then J.J. McCarthy potentially in tier 3. I've talked to some scouts that have Michael Penix actually and Bo Nix ahead of J.J. McCarthy. They're just not talking about it. I've talked to some guys that have Michael Penix literally, if the medicals were right, Michael Penix Jr. would be going in the top 5 because his arm talent is incredible. I was in a discussion last night with a bunch of NFL guys, and we were talking about the scenario, he's a lefty, big arm, of course, that, if they were given the option of Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix Jr., they would have taken Michael Penix Jr. And I was like, whoa, why? And they just love his arm. And they were talking about, look at the talent. You got Waddle and Tyreek, and I know Penix can hit those guys deep at all times. And I was like, wow, that's how much respect they have with the arm talent that Penix has.
I mean, it's funny. I love him. I had him on early in the process, and he throws outside the hashes like nobody else. I mean, he'll drop in a bucket. Now, I do worry about the middle of the field a little bit and how he sees that. But to your point, his arm is ridiculous. I mean, and look, here's what's so impressive about the kid. The kid makes Indiana a top. You remember they had Rose, I think, the number 8 at the time. Nobody knows better than you.
They almost beat Penn State that game.
Yes.
They were.
Yes.
Yes.
So he resurrects that program. He goes to Washington. Roma Dunzier and a couple of other receivers were going to leave. So he talked them into staying, right? So he's got his leadership. And, dude, that Texas game was one of the greatest games I've seen a quarterback play.
Absolutely. And, I'll add to that first Oregon game.
Yes.
The guy was fearless. I always talk about this. He's not afraid of the moment. You want players that are not afraid of the moment. He was unbelievable in that Oregon game. And then he just smashed them in the Pac-12 championship. To me, Penix Jr., listen, he had four season-ending injuries, 2 on the knee. The question is also about the shoulder. But if you could protect him, and I think you could say that lot about quarterbacks. But if you could protect this young man, his leadership already in the huddle is immediate. And don't you, when you have the face of a franchise, somebody who can command the huddle. I really like Michael Penix Jr. I was actually talking to somebody this morning, and I don't understand the knock over the last 3 to 4 months on Drake May as well.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about him.
I love him.
Yeah, because here's the thing. He lost a ton last year, right? Like when you lose a stud running back, a stud receiver, part of your offensive line, and you play at North Carolina.
And you're the coordinator.
Right?
Yeah, and your OC. Yep.
Yeah, like what do you think's going to happen?
So the problem with Drake is people will turn on that Virginia game. That was a bad Virginia team, and they lose. They'll turn on the Georgia Tech game. And they'll be like, where's the quarterback making plays? I think I know Mac Brown really well. I think Mac will tell you the kid hasn't changed from 2 years ago, where he's projected to be, going head-to-head with Caleb Williams as the number one guy, to where he is now. He can work those things out. I will say this. If the Vikings find a way to sweeten up a deal and move to 3, and the Patriots say it's too sweet of a deal, we need to trade him out, Drake May going to the Vikings, sitting a year behind Sam Darnold, Drake May will be a top 10 quarterback within 2 to 3 years. He is that good immediately. I shouldn't say immediately. He's that good when he gets the chance to play on the field. Yeah. So when you have Darnold there for that one bridge year, I think he would be phenomenal in that system. I really like Drake. I love the other two quarterbacks, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. I don't know what Washington was trying to do with that quarterback powwow last week with the 4 quarterbacks that he brought in. They wanted to see how they all reacted. I think you're just messing with the kid's head. And I'm sure they're going to be like, well, let's see how tough he is. Well, listen, if you want a franchise quarterback, show a commitment to him. And Daniels, I think, is so electrifying. Some of the plays he did, guys, like especially in the SEC. And Ant, this is the thing that stands out with Jaden Daniels the most. Versus the Blitz last year, okay? In the SEC, 17 touchdowns, no interceptions, completed 70% of his passes.
Wow.
Don't you want that in a quarterback who handles adversity? Like, that's insane. So that to me, stands out more than anything else on handling the pocket, handling some of the things that you're not planning on, and you find a way. 17 touchdowns, no picks, and you're completing 70% of your passes. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, so I got to ask you about, let's talk birds, because Dave Graziano throws out the Brock Bowers thing, right? While we both probably don't feel like that's going to happen, let's dream for 1 second, though.
Okay.
Would you do it? Because I love Bowers. I think he's one of the great. I almost think he's underrated as a weapon in this draft.
So it's interesting about Bowers. Okay, so if you go track record for tight ends in the first round, not good. They don't hit. I mean, look at the most legendary tight ends that we've seen over the last 20 years. They were not first round picks.
No,
the
Kyle Pitts,
the Gronks, the Goddards, right? Kyle Pitts is a perfect example. Brock Bowers, though, as a prospect, the tight end is not looked at a certain level here. But Brock Bowers as a prospect is potentially a top 5 player in this draft.
Yes,
he's that good, man.
Yes,
his ability to make plays and his hands are incredible. The most interesting thing about tight ends, though, especially when you look at pay scale, they're still down here. And if you're going to, let's just say, what we're seeing with the numbers with wide receivers are just so elevated, and quarterbacks and tackles, when you got to pay those guys in that second contract, tight ends aren't getting that. So if you're managing a certain cap, Bowers would fit in perfectly down the road when you have that built-in system. Okay, I'm adding all that stuff because I think picking Bowers for a team like the Eagles is like a luxury.
Of course.
The Falcons picked Kyle Pitts as we need you now immediately. I think Bowers to us is like, hey, we've got a lot of parts. Let's just add this. That's kind of how I view if the Eagles potentially decided that, you know what? Let's go get Brian Thomas. To me, that would be a
Who, by
luxury.
the way, is another underrated problem. Listen, you got neighbors next to you, so I get it. That kid is legit.
He's legit, man. He is legit. And whoever's going to get him in the teens is getting a monster guy that doesn't make the tier 1 of the wide receivers. But we also know the track record with Howie and what this team needs. This team needs some offensive line depth, defensive line potentially. And the way this draft shakes out, it actually favors the Eagles at 22.
Yeah.
Because there are a handful of teams that need quarterbacks in front of them, a handful of teams that need wide receivers in front of them. There's not a lot of defense off the board in the beginning. You may see your first defensive player at 8, right, to the Falcons. And then when you need cornerback, you have Jacksonville that's in front of you that needs cornerback. But Jacksonville may go Brian Thomas, or the Colts at 15. They may go with Brian Thomas. So then that gives you the ability that you could get the number 1 cornerback by moving up, or you could sit there at 22 and get the number 2 cornerback, right? So all those things play into this. And the other benefit that the Eagles have specifically is this is a dominant offensive tackle first round. And you can get 4th, 5th best offensive tackle on the board at 22 and then put him with Stoutland for a year, and you're good to go. And that could be Guyton from Oklahoma. That could be Mims, who, when you look at his talent and the projection, he could be the number 1 tackle in this draft years from now because of the talent that he has.
I think you're right. I think this draft works out perfectly for the Eagles because of all the quarterbacks, because of the great receivers. And listen, you can get guys that come in and play guard, and then you kick him out the tackle if need be for lane, like down the road.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, there's some...
Slide them in. Like we've seen with Juergens and Dickerson. You just slide them in. We're ready. We've been waiting. And that would be the Eagles' way here. Or the thing I've been hearing a lot is they've got a guy, and they're going to move up to get that guy. And that could be in the teens. That could be a Quinyon Mitchell. I love Quinyon Mitchell. I was
going to ask you, like Mitchell or Arnold, do you like better?
I love Quinyon Mitchell. Now, listen, Arnold is coming from Alabama and Nick Saban, so it's hard to argue. And I think Howie's learned his lesson through the years that, hey, I'm going SEC first if I'm going to go by default over the last couple of years, right? If you look at the way he's drafted. Quinyon didn't allow a touchdown. This is a number. In 402 coverage snaps this past year. Didn't allow a touchdown. Now, the other thing is the question of, when you look at Arnold and Mitchell, what's the fit in Fangio's defense, right?
Right.
I'm not sure if Quinyon fits as much as what maybe Arnold would fit when we talk about press coverage, specifically with whatever Fangio likes to deploy. So to me, if you can get the number 2 cornerback, you can get the 4th or 5th offensive lineman sitting there at 22, I'm okay. But if you want to move up, I got to tell you, I kind of trust Howie on all this because he's earned my trust over the last couple of years.
Well, it's funny because I looked at it and I was telling the guys, I feel pretty calm from an Eagle standpoint because I don't think they can go wrong, right? Like, again, like you just said, the cornerbacks play out the way they do. I mean, I don't know how you feel about Kool-Aid. Now, going into the season, Kool-Aid was the better cornerback, and Arnold surpassed them. But, like, you can't go wrong. You got corners sitting there, and you got, like you said, all the offensive linemen. What do you think about Laiatu Laitu?
Man, I love that guy. He is such an interesting – so first off, he's the best defensive end in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, the best defensive end in the draft. The issue is, of course, the medical. I mean, he retired. If the kid stays healthy, when you put him on the field, his speed, he's going to make plays.
Yes.
He's going to be in the backfield.
Yeah.
Right? So I find that interesting that if Latu is somebody that they look at, it's like, okay, the way we have Nolan Smith on one side and Latu on the other, do we have our bookends for the future over the next 3 years, right? So I like, and of course Huff, but Latu is one of those guys that I think is going to be off the board before the Eagles get the pick if they sit at 22. I think the only thing that will disappoint Eagles fans is this. The only thing, because I think we've come to this conclusion that Howie will go lineman regardless, and if he doesn't go lineman, he'll get a potential cornerback, and if we don't go cornerback, then he's getting Brock Bowers, right? I think the only thing that will disappoint Eagles fans tonight is if they trade out of the 22 spot and trade down in the first round or into the second to collect assets or get a first for next year. Because let's just play another scenario out. If Penix is still on the board, if there's a team that feels like they've got to move up like the Raiders and they have to jump in to still get Penix, I could see the Eagles being a dancing partner like they were with the Ravens a few years ago with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's funny. I think the Raiders should take Penix early because first of all, he's a great fit for the Raiders, and he's the bomb thrower, and he's lefty. You go back to Ken Stabler, right? The snake, the whole thing. So but you're right. And I do think if they trade out of that first round, that would be the only boo. We were talking about what would you boo? To me, you can't boo offensive line. It wins. So you can't boo it. So, the only way you're right, you boo is if they trade out, because then it's shades of Marcus Smith. Remember that?
Yeah. They lost their guy, and then you got to panic. And I think going through all of that, listen, Howie Roseman deserved to be criticized through the years with the way he approached the draft. But every time he makes a mistake, he learns from it, he corrects it, he figures it out, and it pays off. And it has paid off. I mean, since the Rager pick, it's really hard to argue with how he has approached the first round, right? And what he has done on draft day, acquiring A.J. Brown, going Devontae Smith, understanding that we got to attack defense with Jalen Carter and moving up. The Jordan Davis pick because it fell to them. I understand people will say, well, we should have got the safety in Baltimore. I totally get that. But he's following what the needs are and filling the space gaps. And it really comes down to this. We won't fault Howie for these picks. It's now up to the picks to kind of make Howie look good.
Right.
Especially the Georgia class.
Yes.
Right? The Georgia guys. They've got it like Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, make Howie look good. You can make a Keely Ringo. You can make a case for N'Kobe Dean. You got to make Howie look good because he believed in you and the picks looked right at the time. Now you've got to prove it and stay healthy on the field.
Yeah, you're so right. Hey, before I let you roll, and I thank you for your time as always, Kev.
Oh, yeah.
We love our weekly visits. I gotta bring this up to you. So this is the coolest thing in the world. You're anchoring draft coverage, right? Sports Center in Detroit. And I know that you and I we were separated at birth. And you were watching the draft growing up as a kid on ESPN when it was rudimentary, right?
Yep.
When it was Chris Berman and it was Mel
and
back
Piper.
in the day.
Yep.
And it was on Saturday, right? There was no primetime Thursday.
Yes.
And we'd wake up early and we'd be so excited for draft day. Give me some of your memories of watching, especially ESPN. Like that was a big deal for us watching ESPN draft day.
It was huge, and it was Saturday and Sundays. And leading up to the week, I would get the Sports Illustrated with Dr. Z's mock, who was like the first one who was doing a mock, right?
Yes.
And then I would
Paul Zimmerman,
look everything up and see how accurate everything is and does everything match up. But listen, you got to love it. You got to be a nerd to understand this. And I'm a proud nerd when it comes to this stuff. Like, I remember specifically, it was the late 80s, and I was out with my boys on the weekends playing, wiffle ball outside. And then I would come in and be like, hey, guys, I'm going to take a break here. And they're like, why? I'm like, I want to watch the rest of this fifth round. And they're like, what? And there was this one linebacker for the Browns that they take. I think it was like Trey Junkin, and I was just watching his profile, and it was like going on, and the graphics were all old school, But to me, it was the coolest thing. And anything Mel said, and he had the big binder, I just loved it. And I get a kick out of, I've done 10 mock drafts with Mel Kiper in the last 2 months, like these shows with him. And I just get a kick. He's the nicest human being, the greatest guy. He's a genius. This is his Christmas day. And to be able to work with him and call him a colleague, to be able to cover this, it's pretty darn cool. And then it combines my two biggest loves, college football and the NFL, all together. So this to me is my favorite event of the year. And to be here, to be a part of it has been pretty cool, man. Like, it's one of those cool experiences that 49-year-old Kevin Negandhi is like telling 15-year-old Kevin Negandhi. And you know that, and we have had those moments before where you're like, yeah, man, like, you're telling little Anthony, right? Like that dream that you had, like we're actually living it, So it's pretty amazing.
It really is. And you think back to when the coverage of it, how rudimentary, right? And now it's just incredibly polished. It's amazing how it is. Like it's so cool, man. I remember. You remember when Buddy drafted Keith Byers and he called him the medical reject?
Yeah. You know where? So the night he drafted him, I was at like a little carnival circus, like in my neighborhood, and I remember coming down the slide, and somebody's like, "Yeah, the Eagles drafted a guy named Keith Byers," and I was like, "Wait a second!" And this is how crazy. I said, "The Ohio State running back who had foot issues." And they were like, yeah. And I was like, what are we doing? And honestly, I was really, really young, but I was so into that stuff and understanding what was going on. And there were some bad drafts that we experienced, right? Like, I think that 1 year was like,
horrible. Oh my God.
Kevin Allen. Remember Kevin, who had some major issues, right?
Yeah, he was naked on a beach in Margate and did some horrible things.
Michael Haddix, like you just mentioned, like there were a couple of nightmare ones where we're like, what are we doing? And so it's nice to come out of that. And of course, we can't forget, and I think there's a new generation that understood the Mike Mamula dance and how we were in love with the combine, and that he's Mr. Combine, right? He's the one that kind of set this thing off.
You know what's amazing? I wrote a piece. It was in GQ. It was about the trainer who trained Mamula. He was like the genius behind the combine. So he was out of Boston. So I think he worked out of like Boston College, actually.
Yeah, because that's where Mamula was. Yep.
Yes. So I go up and I see him, how he's preparing these kids for the combine, and 225, the shuttle. I mean, and they were working on this thing, which makes sense, right? When you think about it now, well, of course, you could train as soon as the season's over. You could train for the combine drills. It's like studying for the test. What's on the test. And then this guy's the first guy who did it. And of course, we take Mamula.
I love it. And by the way, Mike had a decent career.
He did.
The expectations coming in. Yeah. And I will share one quick story, if you don't mind, with the Mamula. So I was at ESPN a few years ago on SportsCenter, commercial break. Bill Polian's there, and Bill's great to me.
Oh, fantastic!
And I mentioned the Mamula pick. Bill went off on me because I was kind of criticizing the Mamula pick, and Bill lit me up. Like, he lit me up. And I found out later that I think Bill's son was invested in the Mamula pick and understood it and all that. And like, it made me look at Mike Mamula differently after that Bill conversation. Cause I was like, Bill, you can't be serious. Like, I was coming from a different perspective on the expectations and stuff. And then Bill and I had a nice talk about it, and I looked into it, and I was like, you know what? Mike wasn't as bad as we all portray it to be. And he found his way. We just expected that we were getting a Hall of Famer because of the way the combine, like you mentioned, the unknown of the combine, and he was the combine freak show. And now we've come to the conclusion that, combine numbers are good and it may push you over the top, but it shouldn't be the only thing that you look at. And I think that's kind of how we viewed it as a fan base when they went after Mike Mamula.
All right, last thing, I promise. Favorite Eagle pick and worst Eagle pick in your life? You go, oh my God, no.
God. Oh my God. I mean,
Could be any. Doesn't have to be first round. Like Freddie.
Freddie.
They needed Freddie to hit, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Andy was so sure about Freddie too.
Freddie Mitchell, right? We're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to Fred Barnett. So, yeah, they needed Freddie to hit. Didn't hit, even though he'll tell you it hit. That was a tough one.
It was.
You brought up Smith, and Smith's a good one because it was like, wait, what are we doing? Like, what?
Yes.
Who? And then literally, like, we just knew that this wasn't going to work. The fireman.
Oh, Fireman Sam. Oh, my God. You took a 26-year-old guard from Baylor. Like, what? Easily the worst pick. I mean, all those bad offensive linemen they took in the 90s.
Davis from Tennessee, Richie Kotite. Yeah. We've been through some bad ones through the years, like some really, really bad ones. But it goes to show you here's the thing. For anybody who's listened to this too, it just goes to show you too. Don't think an entire draft is made up in the first round.
Right.
And I will add another thing. Look at what the Rams have done. This is the first time that they're picking since 2016 in the first round, since Jared Goff. They have built that team in the day 2, day 3. And look specifically at the Chiefs. You can't nail a pick all the time when you're picking 32. Look, they have built the team. They built that secondary on day 2 and day 3. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the Eagles and saying, oh, my God, and if you're mad about the day 1 pick. It's really what they do on day 2 and day 3 because you know and I know more than anybody. Day 2 is going to be probably the most critical for this Eagles team, especially adding depth on the defensive side. Are you getting linebackers? Are you getting a cornerback? If you don't go O-line in the first round, are you getting an offensive lineman? What are we doing day 2 and day 3 to fill the depth that we need to have the impact players?
Oh, spot on, brother. Spot on. And look, one of Howie's best drafts, he didn't have a first and he didn't have a third. And
you're right.
Right? I mean, and he takes and they take Mailata in the 7th round. I mean, that was a terrific draft. Now you're spot on. My brother, I love you. Listen, break a leg tonight. Huge. We're so proud. We got one of our own in Detroit hosting Sports Center, the draft edition. Everybody's got to watch. I'll be watching. We love you. What do you think, Sixers tonight?
I think they win, and I think honestly, this is a night where Joel and Tyrese is now 1A on this team, right?
Yeah.
And I think Joel gets that and needs that, and this is a night where these two guys work together, and it's not like, hey, it's just me. So I don't know what those balloons were all about. Like, what's that?
Well, I think it works. Whatever, it was great, man. Sixers win. Let the balloons go.
And I will pass one other thing about tonight's game. The crowd needs to have the energy that we saw at Madison Square Garden. Let's not get tight if we're down. And they deserve to get booed that game against Miami because they were down 12 and they looked lethargic in the second quarter. But if it's a close game in the final 2 minutes, let's not get tight. Let's be loud as hell. Because it's important because you saw how that changed the way that game played out in game 2 because of the crowd. I think the crowd played a huge role. Of course, the referees. So let's just be loud.
I love it. I'm going to show up the Garden. I'm completely with you. Love you, brother. Listen, kill it tonight, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Good seeing the boys. All right, take care.
Thanks, pal. Here he is, the great Kevin Negandhi, hometown hero. I love Kevin, man. That was a lot of fun. Great insights on the draft and a lot of fun to kind of talk about. We'll get into it in just a moment. But I do want to tell you that we're brought to you by Rite Aid. All right? Now, Rite Aid allergy. Oh, I was sneezing. In fact, on the ride in, I sneezed how many times, Ant?
Like 7.
So like 7 times I sneezed.
Yeah.
In fact, you got tired of saying God bless you, right? You were like, yeah, you were half asleep. Yeah, you were sleeping. You kept saying God bless you. And I was like, because I'd sneeze. Like it's my allergies. They affect everybody. It's what it is. That's why you got to go to Rite Aid. All right? You got to go. You got any of this stuff, scratchy throat, coughing, brain fog, which I have often, even if I don't have allergies, headaches, cough. All right? You got dark circles under your eyes. All that stuff is allergy. The pollen count is high. Go to Rite Aid. All right? Talk to your neighborhood Rite Aid pharmacist. They're going to help you out. They're going to point you in the right direction of which medications help. All right? They're going to talk about nasal rinse. That's our man over here. All right? Because JP's a nasal rinseman. All right? They're going to give you antihistamines such as Loratadine, available at Rite Aid brand or brand name Claritin, right? You got the Zyrtec or the Rite Aid brand that has the same all your stuff that you need, those kind of medications available at Rite Aid. And they're going to direct you in the right way. Like I get tired, so I try not to take a lot of medications. It makes me tired. But trust me, all right? Go to your local Rite Aid. I love our Rite Aids, all right? They're part of the neighborhood. They're family. He goes and sees Marge.
Bought some Allegra last night.
Did you really? Yeah, see that? That's
my ears were so congested. I was a little off balance feeling.
Yes.
Crazy out there.
Yeah, it is crazy out there for an allergy sufferer. Go to riteaid.com. Check that out. And anything, your vaccine's up to date, make sure you go to Rite Aid. And this portion is brought to you by Rite Aid, your neighborhood pharmacy. Again, riteaid.com for all your goods. And we're brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook app. Tonight, monster game. I love the Sixers tonight. I think, listen, pride game, home game. We know how they play at Wells Fargo. And if you're going to build an SGP, let me throw this by you because you're the gambling expert. Do you do the SGP of bench players?
Absolutely.
Right?
Why not?
Like
Oubre
to get 10, Buddy Hield to get, 8?
His number should be like 4.5. I got to log on to Bet Park, see what the numbers are.
Right? You could build your same game parlay off the bench because we know home court equals better bench. That's the mathematical formula. You're in the math advanced honors. That's the math. All right? Do yourself your favorite baseball props, all that stuff. All right? You can win big all day. And don't forget, while you're playing, while you're watching the game and stuff, and you want to take a break, it's halftime, check out the casino, the online casino with all your favorite games, live blackjack dealers, everything. It is the Bet Parks Sportsbook Casino app. Win your first $10 sports bet, earn $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. Bet Parks. Got to be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. You or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Time now. Oh! That's awesome, Andrew. You got it.
Let's go.
That means the pick is in.
What do they do? What's how we doing?
All right, so I'll start with you. It's because it's Clubhouse, in case you're just joining us. This is Massimo, my son. He's 11. This is Anthony, my son. He's 14. It is take your kids to work today. So that's why I got the boys with me.
Anthony's taller than all of us.
Yeah, he's a beast. What do you eat, Chick-fil-A? What's your order?
2 chicken sandwiches, 12 count shake.
Yeah, and what, the fries?
And large fry.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now, you usused to do what?
30 count.
30 count? You pound a 30 count?
With shake and large fries?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Girl and boys.
And how? What do you eat pizza-wise?
Like 6 to 7 slices.
6 to 7? You get your own pie?
He does.
I love it.
Right? Yeah. He does. And you too.
Man.
Oh, my God.
That's how I used to eat.
Yeah.
The
Anyway.
metabolism
Still eat
slows
like that.
down at some point.
Yeah. Oh, God. Tell me about it. All right. So what do you want to see tonight? Like, what's your wish list for the Eagles, and the pick is in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's quite simple. I mean, I know the whole city wants this corner. Like, I see it constantly online, but it's simple, guys. Like, the good teams do this. You draft best available. What it seems like is that those offensive linemen are going to fall to us. So, I mean, I would not be mad if a Fuaga fell to us, but it's best available because it's that simple. Whether it be Bowers, whether it be Fuaga, you draft
Or your
best
corner,
available.
right? Like, you know,
If
we
he's
talk
there,
about
yeah.
Mitchell, you talk about Arnold,
Yeah.
right? You're going to have corner. And the way the draft's playing out, and talking to Kevin, with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, it appears to be that it's a perfect kind of draft for the Eagles to get the O-lineman or the corner.
Yeah, you can't be mad at any one of those. And the corner may fall to us if it's there, cool. But draft best available, that's what the good teams do.
BG, what do you want?
I'm locked in with Dave P in the chat room. We like Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
Samoans. I'm all flogging
yeah.
up. I'll be super happy with that. Or Brock Bowers. I'm not that stoked about a corner in the first round.
You're not.
Nah, none of them seem like they're just lockdowns. So, you know, I'd rather go with you can't go wrong with a Samoan offensive lineman.
Yeah,
All right,
sure.
I'll live by that.
Now, Kevin said it. He had major trust in Howie. So I'll ask you, because I kind of know your answer, or I may not. I don't know.
think you do.
All right. Do you have trust in Howie tonight?
I can't say that I have full trust in him. I mean, I think he's going to make the right pick, but like you mentioned some of those last draft picks. That's what we wanted, and how he did draft best available. But there's still a lot of question marks.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because listen, I can't quibble with a lot of those drafts. Like, I look at the last three, we'll go over it. So I go, all right, like I would have taken those too. So
yeah,
it's kind of the inexact science of the draft and where your board is.
Yeah, but drafting is so hard because it's not even just drafting the player. It's then he comes to your organization. How are you developing? Are you putting him in the right situations? And so,
and we
it
know
is
how
always
well
so
they do
tough.
on offensive linemen with Stoutland.
Yeah, that's always why. Like that's why you feel good if they do draft an offensive lineman, especially tackle, because of the way we have been able to develop them. But Howie's done the right thing. But it's just there's a lot of question marks for some of these draft picks. So I definitely do not trust. It's not that, but I wouldn't say I have a high confidence in Howie Roseman in these drafts.
All right. What do you think, VG?
I mean, my trust in Howie is limited, and it influences what I want him to do, which is O-line and tight end. He's good with those. I don't trust him with receivers. I don't trust him with corners. So O-line, tight end, I'm happy.
I kind of felt
Devontae was a no-brainer. Heisman Trophy guy who fell to them, and he needed a receiver after the year before.
The Rager.
Yeah.
I completely agree. All right, let's look at their drafts. Let's go last three, okay? We've been going through, but I'm going to get your take on all three. Andrew, real quick, what's your how do you feel about Howie trust-wise?
I think he's learned from his mistakes over the years. Obviously, he always goes with the SEC teams nowadays, which is not a bad pick, you know. I like 22. I think Baldy had me in the right spot yesterday with the mock draft.
Yeah.
I like Fuaga. I think Fuaga is going to be a good pick here. We need to build up that line, especially when you got Saquon coming in. You just want to bolster that line and help Saquon just have the best season he can.
You can kick out again in the future. So I feel you. Let's go through it. Let's go. This is our back in the day moment. Who's our back in the day moment? Brought to you by
Rite Aid.
Rite Aid. That's right. Buy your favorite goods at Rite Aid, the store nearest you. Devontae. This is 2021.
Okay.
Devontae, Landon Dickerson. So,
Good.
really good. Third round, Milton Williams, which I liked at the time, but has not done. No. I'm disappointed by Milton Williams.
More consistency would be big here in this upcoming season. I've seen some flashes, but yeah, you haven't seen enough from him, in my opinion.
And then Zach McPherson, Gainwell, who to me is not special.
This whole rest of the draft.
He's another workout warrior. He likes to post the workout clips on social media.
Gainwell?
Yeah.
He's like a Ben guy. He's workout.
Yeah. 2022, Jordan Davis. We've talked about.
Yeah. Still a question mark.
Right? Needs to step. This is the year for Jordan Davis.
Question mark. Yeah. And, it seemed too good to be true. He dropped to 13 there. People had him a little higher, and we thought it was a no-brainer.
I threw a little asterisk on that draft because he did trade for A.J. Brown on that draft night.
Yeah.
That was big.
Yeah. Yeah, it was huge.
Cam Jurgens looks okay.
Yeah.
It's a good pick.
Real good pick.
Yeah.
Real good pick. And then in Dean, I loved drafting the Kobe Dean in the third round.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, again, he kept falling. All those teams passed on him. And when we say, like, yeah, we like it, but we're not getting paid $4 million with a team of researchers and scouts and all this info. So to say I would have picked him is kind of like gives him a free ride a little bit.
I hear you, except one thing, right? Like, listen, like I follow college. I do a college football show on Fox.
Yeah,
I've watched tape with Baldy. Like we follow this up. The Kobe Dean made sense. He did. Around the foot.
Why do you think he dropped then?
Well, again, there was a reason. There's a couple of reasons why. One, you question your size and speed, right?
Yeah.
So third round, like, listen, first he's a linebacker, so automatically he's not going to go in the first round, right? And then as you fall into the third round, it makes sense at that spot. You need a linebacker. You need to develop a linebacker. He flowed to the football. He made a lot of sense.
We were so high after that night. I mean, you walked away with Davis, Jurgens, AJ Brown.
Yeah. We were all
Kobe
chesty.
Dean.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Nolan Smith and I was like a little iffy with Nolan Smith. Like I love Jalen Carter.
Mm-hmm.
A little iffy with Nolan Smith. Now we'll see. Like this is a big year for him. Does he have the motor to come off the edge?
I mean, I feel like they were burned in the past with speed, and then how we made a turn, it was all speed. So he's got a lot of undersized speed guys, and I think that's bitten them in the behind in the last couple of years.
Another big factor here too is that we feel like we have the set defensive coordinator. I mean, no one felt confident Sean Desai last year. That should be the big part about it too for these young kids.
Yeah, you're right. Now I still hold hope for Sidney Brown. Right.
Yeah.
Steen, we'll see. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's pretty quiet. And drafting an old lineman tells you a lot about Steen and the future. But that's a great point about having a true defensive coordinator and really a true OC.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got comments-wise? Like, what are the people saying? Hit us with what's in the clubhouse.
I mean, a lot of Sixers talk. We're all over. I mean, Casper chimed in on Jamie. So Jamie's forever horned up. People were a little incredulous about Brousard before he even came, thinking he picked the Knicks. So there was a Brousard out there.
Oh, really?
Yo, I gotta say, he's mentioning celebrities. He goes Bill Cosby on us.
I know.
All the people.
I know. Yeah, come on.
Especially
Especially now where we have Bradley Cooper, Miles Teller.
And Knights at the sideline every night.
Taylor Swift just dropped an album.
Yeah.
Attorney lawyer Tom Klein is always courtside. Come on, man.
Ed might just drop just new film.
Mike's the man.
Yeah, new movie.
He's the man.
There's a lot of play on Tobias's spelling of his last name with an extra S for Tobias. Dave P says, bring Tobias to work day.
That's great.
Provolo and John, Little Ant and Moss were told they have to sit still for 2 hours if they want Primos later.
You guys have been good.
Yeah, man.
I gotta tell you, you've been good. You guys, you deserve. You want some Pops water ice after?
Oh yeah.
I would have went right for the Xbox. I would have been playing the Xbox. Right away.
I know.
They're better than us.
Exactly.
One more, Gregory Carter. I feel Sixers have momentum tonight. Like, I dig his vibe, but he might be drinking a little early.
Well, no, but I think they're going to listen.
They don't have momentum right now.
No, they have no momentum at all. But at home, I think they win. I think this Knicks team's not very good. All right, You have to win. If Miami can beat Boston last night,
amen.
All right, without Jimmy Butler, you have to beat the Knicks tonight.
Yeah,
you're the desperate team, and honestly, they should win by double digits. Quite frankly.
I agree. I'm betting them. They're -5. I'm taking money line. Not money line. I'm doing the points.
Well, this portion is brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook.
I love Bet Park
and Casino app.
Yeah, you got to play like dogs here tonight. You got to play fearless, like you talk about constantly, especially guys like Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris. You got to play fearless basketball because you know the Knicks have been doing that through the first 2 games. It's that simple.
Yep. All right. Always, we do our best and worst of the evening. Last night, give me your worst, JP.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Knicks press conference. So we were talking a lot about the Villanova Twitter account, showing a little bit too much love for their former players. So there was, I believe, a Villanova representative in that press conference that actually asked Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson about it. Josh Hart, he said that I think it's idiotic that Philly fans are mad about it in reference to the tweets. Whether they like it or not, Villanova is in Josh Hart's blood. That's what he stated. Jalen Brunson said, in their eyes, we're a Philly school, referring to Villanova. But when we win, apparently we are, he said, in their eyes, we're not a Philly school. But when we win, apparently we are a Philly school. So that was Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson.
Look, he's talking to you, VG.
Yeah, he's lucky we let them have the parade in the city. I mean, what it cost the city to throw that parade for 3 blocks with 2,000 people showed up? Get the hell out of here with that. You know, the truth is,
you're a Syracuse alum.
The truth is,
you can't speak on
Villanova probably would not even give him a permit for the parade because the residents don't want the traffic or the crowd. So he should be grateful we had the parade here.
You're not wrong. Yeah.
A little emotional there.
Why he
grinds my gears, these Nova guys.
The Hart and Brunson were a little emotional at referring to those two.
But again, you can't, like, here's the thing, to me, I'm how I am. I'm all believer.
You're a Jay Wright guy.
I love Jay Wright.
Yeah.
But all the 5 for 5 thing, includes the Big 5. 4 for 4 includes Union and Big 5, right? So all those, they're all Philadelphia schools, right? And you throw in Drexel. So here's the bottom line. Villanova Twitter should not be taking glee in the Knicks winning. Right or wrong?
No, you're 100% right. And the thing was Kyle Lowry actually played well too, especially in game 1. Where was the love?
Where's the love for Lowry?
All it showed was him hugging Tim Thomas, which is a Knick player.
Yeah.
In the in-game tweet during the game.
Yeah. Dummy up. What's your worst?
My worst was I watched the game last night with some friends. Yeah, Phil's in the local bar, and there was a moment where we actually felt relieved and applauded that our $25 million right fielder Nick Castellanos hit a ground ball to advance a runner, and we're satisfied with that instead of a strikeout and a ball low and away. It just felt like a bad moment in time.
Yeah. Well, Nick off to a slow start.
yeah.
Nick Castellanos.
All right, best of the night, JP.
Best of the night. All right, let's go. I want to go. Let's show some hockey love. We haven't done that in a minute because Joel Farabee, one of our forwards here, got called up to Team USA for the upcoming World Championship here in the Czech Republic. They're trying to win their first gold since 1933 in this tournament. That starts on May 10th through the 26th. Super dope. Some really good players on that roster too. The first 15 players have been announced, but it wasn't a nice end to the season here for the Flyers, but cool to see Joel Farabee represent for Team USA and represent for Philadelphia as well.
VG?
I'm going hockey too. Late in night.
Watching you guys. I'm going hockey.
Watching my boys, the Oilers. Tough loss last night in overtime. But there's nothing like Canadian playoff hockey. We're good here, but the arenas are insane.
I got news for you. Vegas, Nashville.
Vegas is good, but I don't think
Nashville too.
I don't know. Not Vancouver, Edmonton, and Winnipeg light it up. Last night, a woman is in the crowd, full Stanley Cup gear. Her entire body is painted silver.
She's the cup. She's the walking cup. Yeah. That's fabulous.
That's my best of the night. She came on the screen at midnight. I was like, I gotta stop the game here, take a picture of this lady.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
She was right behind the bench.
She's the cup.
Right behind the bench.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it, man. Stuff. That's real good stuff. I love it. All right. We conclude take your kids to work day. So I got to ask my kids what they learned about what Daddy does for a living. So, Anthony, what did you learn, Dad?
I learned, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? What did you learn? Do you like it? You like sport? You love sports. You play football.
Yeah. I like a lot of what you do. It's fun to see you guys talk about the sports and the players and the draft. And
wait, you had to do a school. This is funny. So he had to do a project. It's to make an argument, right? For debate class.
Cool.
So he chose, tell him what you did.
Why Michael Jordan's better than LeBron.
Oh, nice. A+.
That's some great parenting right there.
How'd that go over? People appreciate it, or?
I still didn't do it yet.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I did it. I just need to show it off or present.
Yeah.
I'm doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, show it off, man. Don't present it. Show that off.
Yeah, show that off.
I like it. I'm proud of you. All right, Daddy. Massimo, what did you learn about Daddy's job?
What he said.
Big brother's always got him.
You got you got a lot of baseball tonight and over the weekend?
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
All right, you ready? If Sixers win tonight, you gonna watch with Daddy?
Yeah.
All right. With the Eagles, you gonna watch the draft with me?
Yeah.
All right, good.
I love it.
Now, did you just learn this? Is this something you tell people what you do on YouTube? You have more views than Daddy.
I make videos.
He's the future. All right, there it is. All right. So I want to thank my kids for coming in. Thank you guys for the whole family affair. All right.
Yeah, nice work by them. My nephews would have been out of here.
They actually stayed and hung out.
Moment of the show is when they chose to stay here instead of playing the video games.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You couldn't see he was like hitting their knees below the
I'm
table.
sure. Like they're doing everything. They're bored out of their mind. Well, guess what? While Daddy has meetings, you can go play video game. You get the Xbox right there. So that'll be great.
Awesome.
Thanks to Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew, as always, producing, did a great job. Thanks to JP, VG. Thank you guys for hanging with me and allowing the kids on the show. We love you guys. Big night.
Big night. Let's go.
And we're going to love the draft. I just know it. I just feel it. Enjoy it, everybody. We love you. Be careful. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.